My grandmother was born in 1910 and has lots of stories to tell about growing up in a coal mining town, about the war, about those she's loved and lost. My brother and I live with her during the school holidays. Our grandparents' bungalow by the sea in Brighton, England, is our summer home. We love playing in the garden. It's magical. We make forts with overturned deck chairs. We play badminton over the clothesline and chase each other up and down the hill. When it's time to come in, we race to the back door and burst into the kitchen. Before we get any further, Grandma says, "Take off your shoes." There's a small cupboard by the back door. Our shoes go in and our slippers come out. Once our slippers are on, Nell commands, "Now wash your hands." And she watches over us as we stand on a stool to reach the kitchen sink. She hands us a big bar of Sunlight soap and turns the taps all the way on. Water thunders down into the deep stainless steel sink. "Get a good lather going," she says. "You need to wash the outside off." This ritual is repeated every time we enter Nell's home. No exceptions, no excuses. One day we go to town, and Nell buys me a new pair of shoes. When we come home, I want to keep my new sandals on, and I'll wash my hands a little later. There's something I must do first. Nell gives me a stern look and points to the slipper cupboard. Once my hands are clean, she asks us to sit down at the kitchen table. She pours an inch of Robinson's orange squash into 2 glasses, fills them to the brim with water, and places the drinks in front of us. "When I was young," Nell says, "there were very few cars in Mansfield. The traffic was horse-drawn. Horses pulled the carts with our morning milk and with barrels of beer for the pubs. Produce from the farms was taken to market on carts pulled by horses. And when someone died, we traveled to the cemetery in horse-drawn carriages. Wealthier families than ours had their own pony and trap. Horses were everywhere, and the streets smelled like horse. A pong of horse filled the air. We wrinkle our noses. We know it's coming. We've heard this tale before. When a horse stopped in front of our house, raised its tail and did its business, we raced out with a bucket and spade to collect the manure. Then we dumped it in a pile round back for Dad to use at the allotment. All the children did this. We'd race to be the first ones at the steaming pile. Sometimes in our haste, we'd tread in it. And it was more than our lives' worth to tramp filth back into the house. So, on entering, it was always boots and shoes off. Nell pauses and asks if we fancy a biscuit. She fetches a tin full of packages, custard creams, Garibaldis, chocolate digestives, and my favorite, bourbons. We each choose one. Nell goes on. "I had 2 brothers and a sister that I never knew. They died before I was born. Lucy died as a baby, and Billy and Charlie died of the measles when they were about 6. Many children were taken by measles. All I ever knew of them was an old framed photograph we had of Charlie. He was a delicate-looking boy with golden ringlets to his shoulders. He was dressed in a sailor suit, with big solemn eyes, looking at me. My mother had a beautiful golden curl she had taken from Charlie's head. She kept it in a bottle. I often ask her to show me Charlie's curl. I wonder what happened to it. And then there was my dear friend Ruth. I met her at Sunday school. She was very kind to me after my mother died. Ruth succumbed to the Spanish flu in 1918. Very sad. I had it too, but I fought it off. Nell gives us both a long, grave look and says, "So you see, you don't want the germs from outside coming in. They must be washed off. Some of them could make you very poorly."